Well, chatting with Boy Golden, who's returned with his new single Suffer off an upcoming album, Best of Our Possible Lives, coming in 2026. Boy Golden, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, and thanks for playing the song too.
Of course, of course. So you've returned with new tunes for the first time since For Eden dropped, and of course then the expanded big band version of it. You and I actually chatted about that album after the release of it when you were coming into Calgary last year. The recording process for this new record is a little bit different, though. For Eden, you were telling me about recording in a cabin. It was a bit more solitary. How's it been recording the new record, recording with a group down in LA?
Yeah, I mean, it basically couldn't be more different. Uh, I, I've been saying, and this feels true to me, making this record felt like making my first record. It felt like I had no idea what I was doing again in a really positive way because I'm so used to self-producing and engineering things myself and playing a lot of the instruments myself. Having I mean, we hired a smash band down there, just like some of the A-list players. We were recording in a studio where I didn't touch a single microphone. I just showed up and I worked really hard on the songs beforehand so that I could be on somewhere close to the same level as the people we were hiring. And then I just tried my best to guide the process and perform as well as I could.
Yeah, and that's got to be a lot different. Like,
Very.
kind of getting back into that collaborative thing too, right? I can't even imagine, right? Like it'd be like me doing my show solo for 3 years and then like all of a sudden one day I've got a co-host. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I'm addicted now. I just want more collaboration. I want to go back and do it again so badly. So I'm writing more music.
so no more cabin in the woods stuff for you, at least in the interim.
Not for now. Honestly, I'm just not interested. I'm like, I've done it. I've been there, done that. Like, I want more of this because it's just so exciting to hear someone do something on your song that you would not anticipate. And then it's like songs like carry information in them that you didn't know they had. Someone else hears it and they go, "Oh, that I'm gonna play this," and you're like, "I didn't know this song could be that way."
100%. That's it's a way to kind of build on your work and, it's awesome you got to kind of experience that and go through it. So
Yeah.
the album's title, you talked about in like the press release for the record, and talking about the lives we have at this moment are our best possible lives. We can't change the past. We cannot know the future. All we have is this moment right here. For you, what is living your best possible life? Is it creating and producing music? Is it diving into a good book, sitting back and eating Katie and lunch meat? What is it?
Um, it's mostly the first two things you said.
Yeah.
I make a lot of music, and that's what I go to bed thinking about. It's what I wake up thinking about. So I like my habits at home when I'm at home. I've kind of got, I'm a pretty regimented guy, which is funny because I kind of thought I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to live this sort of more freewheeling life, but I found that I write better, I'm happier, I'm more, I'm just like generally more content with my life when some sort of a routine. So, and then beyond that, being on the road and touring is its own kind of routine. It's a lot more chaotic, but you do get into a rhythm with it. And whatever I'm doing, I just like to get into that rhythm so that I think it helps me feel present or something.
100%. And I think that's a big thing for everybody on their day to day is like making sure you are regimented. Because like I'm one of those people where like if I'm not getting into my routine, the whole week is a mess. Like I can't do
Yeah.
it. So
And part of how I think about my routine too is like I do every once in a while need to party until 5 in the morning. And that is like, I know that that is something that I need. I need that connection with my friends. I need that kind of release. I need to do stuff like that sometimes. I need to have a crazy night, or a crazy weekend or whatever. And that's fine. And then I sink back into my routine.
I was, doing the deep dive on your Instagram and stuff, and you are a fairly big reader and stuff. Does like reading kind of like draw into what you're like, writing about and like, these songs you're making, or is it kind of just like your, you know, release outside of that?
Yeah, yes and no, like both. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I like reading stuff that inspires me to write. I also like reading stuff that's just amazing and that
Yeah.
makes me excited to read too, because when I was a kid, I was just a gigantic bookworm. Like, my parents would be like, "You have to go to bed now." I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to bed," and then I'd get my light underneath my bed and I would read under there, and so that's also just a part of. Even if I come home like drunk from the bar or something, I will still read a couple pages of whatever book I'm reading. Probably not digest it, but it's like some sort of routine that I have.
I was gonna say, what are you reading into a book when you're like 5 or 6 beers deep?
Yeah, exactly. Like that paragraph just took me a really long time.
You now have the track "Suffer," which, as of last week, actually went #1 in alt rock at Canada. Man,
Yeah,
congratulations! That's
thanks so much.
amazing. I know it's a lot of like it's a trend for a lot of people to sing about happiness. You see a lot of like happy songs, and "Suffer," in a lot of ways, maybe isn't that song. Tell me about your mindset going into like writing that track and like tapping into people's everyday frustration.
Yeah, I think you actually nailed it. Basically, with the verses, my idea with the verses was try to say in as plain language as possible what I hear people complaining about, what I hear people dealing with. And then in the chorus, we all suffer fighting our ordinary fight.
Yeah.
This is just the way, this is the life that we have to deal with. And I don't think it's like a sad song, really. But
Interesting.
I don't really. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like I kind of feel like it's a bit triumphant, actually. But there's also like a lot of frustration and anger in there. But then I feel like what I was getting at in the chorus was more of a coming together of people
Yeah.
than just a woe is me sort of thing.
It really did. Like the first time I heard it, when we got like the link to listen to it, it was like, whoa, like that is saying what I'm thinking right there. And I think that makes the best songs.
Yeah, thank you. I've had a couple people be like, wow, it's a lot more like serious than some of your other music. And for me, I'm like, kind of just whatever I'm writing, I just try to make it honest. So
Yeah.
that's what I was feeling, and that's what the rest of the record has some serious and it has some lighthearted, and that's life. Some one day you're gonna be feeling everything, feeling the weight of everything, and the next day you're like, oh, actually, that's not so heavy. I can carry that.
Yeah. It's interesting because it is like a pretty serious, you know, things that you're talking about, right? Like, and it is things that here in Canada we are dealing with.
That's right.
And, I think it's really cool that you get to do that because sometimes music is an escape for some people. You might see that with like songs about falling in love, but also, sometimes it's more important to be present in that moment of like, we are dealing with some stuff here and let's
Mhm.
champion that. Like, we're going to, come out on top of this.
Yeah, I don't. I find I'm kind of surprised sometimes by what I end up writing about because I don't usually go into a song being like, I'm going to write about the problems that we're dealing with. It's like, but that day, that's what was on my mind.
Yeah.
And that song came out, it probably only took me 20 or 30 minutes to write that song, which was
Wow.
nice when that happens. Maybe an hour, I don't know, but it didn't take long. I remember it was one day and it hasn't changed. All that changed about that song since the day I wrote it is that I cut one verse out of each verse,
Yeah.
one stanza out of each verse. And otherwise it stayed exactly the same. So
That's
it must have tapped into something.
that's pretty crazy that you wrote it in like 20, 30 minutes. Like, have there been other songs you've tried to write where it's like this is a nightmare coming together? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
totally. Some of them take a really long time, and I don't find it necessarily one thing is better than the other. It also kind of depends on what's going on in my life. Like I try to be writing a lot, and if I'm on the road, I just can't. I can maybe get 15 minutes to myself, 10 minutes to myself, or just the end of the day to myself. So I often can't write an entire thing, but I might be able to write a couple lines, and then I can keep working on that.
Yeah.
But then when I'm alone for longer periods of time, I think on that particular day my roommates were out of the house for a longer period of time or something, and yeah, just sat down and wrote the whole thing.
Do you find that like, having your day-to-day life and like thinking about something in a quick moment and doing like a voice note or something like that tends to like produce like better stuff for you. Like I always find with my own show prep, it's not me sitting in front of a computer and being like, I need to think about this. It's just those things that just like snap come to you.
Somewhere in between for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, make great use of their voice memo app. I often go back to my voice memo app and like listen to the thing that I thought was cool, and I go like, what was cool about that? I do not know. But what really helps for me is just having the time and space to sit down. I'm more of like a practice guy. I sit down and go like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna write again today. I'm gonna write again tomorrow. I'm gonna write again the next day if I have time, you know? And I guess there's some good quote about it, which is like you have to you have to show up every day. Inspiration will come sometimes, but if you're not working when inspiration hits, you're gonna miss it, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to stay working and then get a song like Suffer every once in a while.
I feel the same way on the radio side where some days
Yeah.
it's just a nightmare. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to talk about today. I don't know.
Dude,
Like,
it happens to me all the time. There's
Yeah.
I mean, this album I was writing this. I've been writing this album for 3 years. And so the producer picked from a pile of songs that there was like 80 or 90 songs.
whoa.
And that was just the album. Those are just the songs that I demoed. There was other songs that I was like, these are not good enough to even demo. You know, that's my process. It's not everyone's process, but that's mine.
Dude, 80 or 90 songs in like the demo vault is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah. It would be cool to put some of them out, but then sometimes I go back to the demos and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, probably not. You know, maybe when I'm,
10 years
deceased
down
or
the road
something.
when you do the expanded version of the record.
I'm like Taylor Swift famous and I can release a 50-song album like she can.
Yeah, you're sticking to I think 12.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask a little bit about your producing because you're also all over, the different parts of music making. For you producing, what's your mindset going into, producing records as opposed to, performing and writing them? Is it fairly similar or is it a little different?
It's pretty different.
Yeah.
I want to make the most exciting record that the artist has ever made. And I want them to have the best. I always ask them about like, what have your other studio experiences been like? What were good things about them? What were bad things about them? I want them, no matter what happens with their album, I want them to look back at making the album and go, that felt good. That felt really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I try to set up, whether that's for some artists, that's, we should record this in a house because you didn't like working in a big studio. We should do like, go to a cabin and set up a studio there. Or for other artists, it's like, didn't really like recording in a house. It's like, didn't feel like I was doing anything. I just did William Prince's record that just came out, produced that. And I think for us making that record, it was like, no, we want this record to sound huge. We want it to sound big and cinematic. And it's like doing it in a house wouldn't have made sense. We had to go to a proper studio. So I try to do what is best for that artist on that album with those songs. And then my other thing that I spend a lot of time with, like I try to do as much work as I can outside the studio before we go in and start pressing record. Like, let's play these songs together. Like, let's work on these lyrics. Let's make sure that we have the arrangement dialed.
Yeah.
Why are we going to why waste time and money in the studio? Like,
I was going to say studio time is very expensive. So why waste it?
Yeah.
No, it's cool that you get to explore both sides of that, though.
I love both so much. I could do either one for my whole life, but maybe I'll get away with doing both.
I think based on what I've heard so far, I think you can do both for as long as you want. So I've got one more for you. You're a big supporter of Winnipeg and their arts and music scene. For those of us who don't live there, because of course, like I'm based in Calgary, is there something that you think people should know about the Winnipeg scene that, doesn't make it out? Doesn't get shared with people in the other provinces?
I mean, I think people are kind of starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because there's like a lot of great touring acts from Winnipeg that are just all over the place in Canada. I've played some festival lineups where it's like well, there's a lot of my friends on this lineup,
Yeah.
But I think one of the best parts about it is that it's just not very competitive because there's nowhere, you know, there's not a lot of room for that attitude in Winnipeg. And I just don't really like, I like to compete in the sense that I love going out to see a band and going, wow, that was amazing. I need to go home and practice or go home and write or whatever. But I don't want to compete for opportunities. I think there's lots of opportunities for everyone. And hope that I hope that we can keep that attitude.
Yeah, celebrating each other's wins is a really good way to look at it, right? Where,
Exactly.
the exact same as, any other job field where like, you might be coworkers and technically you could be competing, but you just
Yeah,
celebrate each other, right?
totally. Just push each other creatively, but don't compete for the business stuff. It's silly.
Yeah. Well, I'm so stoked for the album to drop. Best of Our Possible Lives is out in 2026, and
Yeah.
congrats on the new single. And we can't wait to see you back in Calgary. You're coming out here in March, right?
Yeah, I'm actually opening up for the William Prince tour, which I think is going to be a really special story because he's playing the album that I produced and that Austin Parahoniak from my band we did so much work on that album together. So it's going to be really neat to hear those songs live every night.
It's gonna be a good
Where are we
setting
playing?
too. It's at the Jubilee.
Jackson,
Yeah,
Jubilee.
Jubilee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jubilee.
yeah. It's a great venue and everything. The acoustics will be great in there. So we can't wait to see you. And yeah, good luck on the tour and the new album coming out.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.